Yeah, okay, clearly I have decided not to get rest, or for that matter, even eat a healthy meal. Nope, guilty. Just sitting my ass on this here chair while getting up here and there, watching some throwbacks. But I've randomly decided, and right now, yes, it's the usual. Eyes aren't on the chat because I want to focus on what I want to share. And what I wish to share is it's a story I have told a couple times in my history of being on YouTube. I've told this tale on Stuck in the Middle, I think, a couple times. I know for a fact I've shared these details on this very channel, but I did do a little searching on my prior videos, and I can't find any evidence. It's somewhere buried, but I figured, I'm blessed with the platform. This is a memory that I hold near and dear, and maybe will offer some form of understanding to others when I feel justice is not served. And especially when it hits close to home, you feel it more intensely than ever. So I'm going to share the real life event of when I first, for the first time in my life, lost a friend, a best friend to violence. And to this day, I still do not quite know the outcome, but let me share. It would probably be completely inappropriate if I were to share my old friend's namesake for the sake of the family and the people that all cared about him. All of my old friends from way back in the day. Yes, in the days when I was a complete scumbag, and I was using, and I was I was trying to be a tough guy, a thug, and all that. But I did have my circle. So this friend, let me give him a code name. We'll call him C. C and I spent a lot of time together. We worked at the same job, which was Kaboom's, way back in the day when I was a DJ. At this moment in time, back in the day, some years ago, well over a decade ago, I was a supervisor within the arcade of Kaboom's Amusement and Party Center. This is where I met my friend C. C was one of the most level-headed, cool cats within our group of ruffians that I'll ever remember, and he will just always be that version that I have in my mind. I don't know why I decided to do this at 2 o'clock in the morning, but hey. So my pleasant memories being the last ones before things got out of the realm of being able to comprehend was he and I staying up for like, I don't know, 4 hours at a keg party. After the party had died down, we just talked. We talked about how he was so happy with his new fiance, who we'll call MK. And I knew MK. We all worked together. We were a big family in that place, Kabooms. And he was newly engaged. His life was ahead of him, and we were all so proud of him. Me and all my old friends, some of which I'm in touch with, some of which I'm not, some of which that didn't make it this far. So C and MK made the perfect couple. They were an inspiration couple. They were the couple that you saw and they looked perfect together, and it was almost like, oh, gross, you're too freaking sweet, and it's making me feel less than or something. Even though I had my ex fiance at the time, but we didn't have what C and MK had. What they had was sincere, legitimate, real, and amazing. It was amazing to be in the presence of such vibrant love. So, let's fast forward through a few years of friendship. They're together. They finally tie the knot, and the world of CNMK were about to change drastically. So, from the night of he and I just staying up, talking, and bonding, and so on and so forth, he was able to move into a brand new home, a very nice home, a very nice house, and a very affluid, is that the term? I'm sorry, affluent, a wealthy, well-to-do neighborhood, gated community. So everybody, would be under the assumption this was a safe place, safe space. So C and his parents, he was 19 years old. They all moved there, and this was, I think, on night number 3 of living there. I apologize if you have already heard this story, but I'm gonna tell it. I see. I'm just checking on the email. Sorry. So lo and behold, okay. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a friend of mine that I lost to violence, a crime. He was murdered, and I'm going to share his story. Sorry, I just briefly looked at the chat, but I'm going to continue to speak, get this out, and then turn in. So, my friend C and his family, they were in this nice, well-to-do neighborhood. And was it night number 1, night number 3? 3 is in my head. This was like almost 20 years ago, so bear with me. He decides while he's talking to his fiance, wife to be on the phone, that he's going to go and walk the dog. He walks the dog. He goes past his next door neighbor's home, and the dog, being a dog, just goes on the yard of the neighbor. Apparently, this neighbor, literally lived right next to my friend C, was very, very disturbed about the fact that he had let his dog on the grass. So there was a confrontation of some kind. The neighbor individual came out. There was a little shouting back and forth. This all took place while my friend was on the phone with his fiance, his wife to be. And I know this for a fact because I spoke with MK, which is the fiance of my old friend C. I'm using codes out of respect. He said, "Hold on, honey. My neighbor and I, we got off on the wrong foot. I'm gonna go ahead and handle this." Now, I'll be the first to admit, my friend at the time, being 19, he had like 3 beers in his system. So his approach at perhaps seeking peace was not the wisest or tactful, strategic, whatever. This much I know as a matter of record. He did get into his pickup truck. They're neighbors, so I don't understand. To this day, I do not understand why he decided to get in his truck. And if the affront or offense was that the dog, my friend's dog, even walked onto the grass, then I know this was the beer talking on behalf of my friend, for my friend. He at least put a tire. He got in his truck and drove up just a smidge, like, I don't know, a few inches onto that very yard, just the tip, just the front of it. And he got out of the truck and he walked and approached. His intention was to not be on any negative terms with his neighbor. This is the new neighborhood, the safer neighborhood, a new beginning for the family of my friend and his family. So he went up to this, and I've seen it myself. My friend C went up to the neighbor's home. He went to the very red door. I'll never forget how red that door was. It was painted maroon, red, or whatever. He went there in an attempt to extend. I don't know. I wasn't there, so either an apology or a discussion. It wasn't a confrontation, or it wasn't meant to be. But I fully understand you get in your truck and you go ahead and put a tire on the freaking couple inches of the yard that your new neighbor has expressed was quite an issue when you walked your dog there in your new neighborhood, to get a sense of the new grounds. So my friend C does walk all the way up to this notorious red door and knocks on it with the intention of having a discussion. That door opened, and this neighbor, whose name I still do not know, opened that door and welcomed my friend from back then with a shotgun blast to his chest. And that obviously blew my friend back and away pretty violently. All that force, momentum from a freaking shotgun. It it hit his chest, obviously, like front and center. And he's I don't know how many feet back he's down. And he's on his back. Now this is where things get strange and complicated in terms of the law, at least, because this is in the state of Florida, and we do have a very strict stand your ground law. If you feel threatened within your residence, you do have the right to defend yourself. But it ceases to be that when the individual that decided to greet my old friend, his new neighbor, with a shotgun blast to the chest, when he walked over him as he was still attempting to capture his breath. He was alive still. And he he went and he stood over him, stood over my friend C, and pointed those barrels downward, and he executed him. That's when it stops to be stand your ground, self-defense. He did the coup de grace, hit him in the chest again, and that was it. That was an instantaneous end for my friend, for my friend C. And so what I know, for one, of course, I went to the funeral. It's the first open casket I had ever seen, and it was so bizarre. I remember two of my old friends, A and J. They walked with me to go and greet our fallen comrade, and I can see it just as I did that very day. I can see my old friend lifeless, with fake makeup blemishes covering the holes, or the dents in the flesh, because some of those pellets from the blast did hit the lower facial region, and the individual, what do you call him, a coroner or something, mortician, used all this makeup to fill those holes in. And when I walked up there with my two friends at my side, my legs gave out. I completely dropped, and I'll never that image will haunt me till my final resting days. I'll never forget that. What breaks my heart, not only was he taken away, but like that was his first or third night in a new, safer neighborhood. He had gotten off the phone with his wife-to-be right before he was taken away, saying, "Honey, I'm going to go and, make things right with this neighbor." That was the last thing that he told to MK. She has never quite recovered. I do believe at this point, I'll speculate, she's remarried. I know she went to the military. Proud of her. And I remember at the funeral, we all felt, there was a lot of us there, that the priest there that read the eulogy didn't do a sufficient job. I decided One of those rare moments back then. At this time, I was still very anxious. I had anxiety, and I had an issue with speaking to a crowd, even though I was a DJ at the time, at the same company, Kabooms. And I read a poem, or I did a poem. I wrote something, and the embrace, the family's response, it was so heartfelt and so amazing, so inspiring. And I also remember that there was some of us planning to do some dumb shit, which I can safely state now. We knew the house that this occurred at, and we had to be convinced by C's family to not make matters worse. But the kicker is, and this is not like an origin story, but this definitely left an impression, if you will. That motherfucker that took not just one, the one that shot my friend not once but twice, while he was down and not a threat. He was never a threat. He had no weapon. He had 3 beers in his system, and he wanted to, I don't know, apologize, make things right, but the whole truck thing I mentioned. To my knowledge, he did get away because of our stand your ground law here in this state of Florida. So what really compromises my level of comfort with such a law, because I celebrate it, I celebrate the right to bear arms and to defend your home, is that he took it from one level of defense and fear to murder. He executed my friend, and he never got justice for that. And I've always had a thing with people that do heinous acts, take lives away, whatever the case. You go through the list, and they don't get what we know they deserve. I guess the debate could be made. I'm sure people will make it. But we all felt, the family, the friends, we all felt that justice was not delivered, and that man, that crazy old man that destroyed a 19-year-old's life over what? Because his dog walked on his yard. And then my friend decided to go knock on his door. He didn't pound on the fucking door. Things like that stick with me, and it's things like this collection of memories and experiences throughout my life of 38 years of living, surviving, dodging my own bullets, that makes me this passionate about finding justice for people that aren't accustomed to getting it. As I am sternly convinced there are people that are just wealthier and have a different set of rules, different laws that they abide by and answer to. You have enough money, you can pretty much, my understanding is, get away with pretty much anything. And that's something I hope to see one day before my final day. I hope to see that comes to its natural end, because it's the right and just thing. If evolution were to take its proper place, we would see an end to people just getting away because of their connections, their following, or their money. And that is the story of my friend, C. As much as I want to do a full eulogy, like rest in peace, I know first name, last name. And I know there's a couple of friends of mine that, when the group that we were then, I don't know how they feel about me bringing the story up, a couple, whenever I do. I'm sure they don't want to relive it, but I refuse to let it be forgotten and let it just be as a matter of record. This is one of many reasons. This is one instance out of a lifetime of experience that I have gone through where just things didn't feel right, and I saw families and loved ones and friends suffer. And if I can ever try to help prevent such a thing, that's what I'm going to do. And that's what this community is about. Justice, because it's not always going to be served. when you feel it's righteous. I know, again, there's a debate. My friend did what he did. He put his tire on the yard and he knocked on the door. But he was not armed and he was not a threat and he was not belligerent. He's gone. He's been gone since, I don't know, 2008. Who knows? I don't know. So, all right. Rest in peace to my old big bro. And that's the story I just wanted to share with you all. Good night, guys. Thank you for listening. And that's that.